God. COVID's going great, thanks. Anyway, so for a couple of videos, I've teased the little fact that I intended to be making a video on this chap today, and the reason I've really kind of avoided it is twofold. One, doing the Fresh and Fit video that I did, which you can click up here and watch, I ended up really kicking the hornet's nest of angry incels on the internet, and frankly, just needed a break from being bombarded with quits in my comment section. That being said, I did do a little teaser about it because frankly, along with Fresh and Fit, this guy keeps turning up in my YouTube Shorts feed with the worst content on the platform. It's not even necessarily just the fact that it's all boring conservative talking points. It's the fact that the content he makes is shit. In one of my last React videos, I did a little pastiche of what Titus Ellis Smith's videos mostly look like, and this is what that was. Hey guys, I'm here to talk to you today about why owning guns is definitely a good thing, and anyone who says that you shouldn't own guns is just a pussy, someone who hates the Second Amendment, just one of those big gun-hiding pussies. You know, the kind of content that makes you go, why did you make this? You're not commenting on it, you're not saying anything, you are just watching what's on screen and going, ugh. Trust me, there's probably going to be a lot of that from my end during this video. So for those of you who don't know Titus Ellis Smith, let me give you a little bit of a backstory. Titus Ellis Smith is basically a conservative YouTuber with approaching 1 million subscribers, so good on you, I suppose, whose entire personality seems to be boiled down to, I'm the contrarian conservative who wants to dick on woke people. Don't get me wrong, a lot of woke stuff on the internet is baffling and very annoying, but you don't make yourself look a lot better by sitting there and rolling your eyes over the footage and pretending that's content. Titus, or if you're American, Titus, is an ambassador for Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA is basically the Justice League of pricks. It's filled with people like Charlie Kirk, you know, those guys who turn up on campuses and try and argue and debate with stupid students who don't know how to have a good enough debate to make it look like the entire argument is baseless, stupid, and wrong. So already, this sets the tone for the kind of content that you're going to be getting with Titus. So I know I commented on the fact that he tends to just sit and watch TikToks and that's his entire output, but this video really bothers me. Have a look at this.
BTS visits White House to discuss anti-Asian hate.
Stop talking! Like, I know I just complained about him sitting there and not commenting, but you're talking over what's going on in the video. That's not a good reaction. That's just interrupting.
It's just why we're focusing on this right now.
President Biden and the White House
we're so thankful for Biden.
We get it, mate. You don't like Joe Biden. I'm not a Republican voter, and I don't particularly like Joe Biden. He comes across as old, stupid, and not very efficient. However, you tried to make the point just now of why are we even focusing on this? What? Where have you been for 2 years? In the wake of COVID, Asian hate crimes have skyrocketed. Just in London, in the first year of the pandemic, Asian hate crime went up by about 80%, which is a crazy amount. But that's fine. You sit there really smug and go, why are we talking about this? Why are we focusing on this right now? I don't know, maybe ask the Asian community?
Speak about the important causes,
talk about this
remind
right
ourselves of what we can do as artists.
Needed.
At least mute the video. At least mute the other video, because this is really irritating to watch. Why do you have such a problem with them bringing it up now? Why is this so important to talk about now? Because it's important now? I don't really understand the criticism. American conservatives have this really dull smoke and mirrors idea when it comes to politics, that everything that's done is acting as a smokescreen for something else. Sometimes that is true. Maybe in the case of talking about hate crimes, why is that going to be smoke and mirrors? Why can that not just be addressing American Asian hate crimes?
This is the last gasp of a dying administration, is when you start bringing in celebrities that you've never heard of, because your 25-year-old social media manager was like, you know, we really need the gloss of that glamour on you.
And of course, Ben Shapiro's here. How tone-deaf and angry against Democrats do you have to be that you can't see this for what it is? BTS are an incredibly popular K-pop group. I don't like them, but you don't have to like them to care. The reality is they've got a huge audience over in the US, and they have ability to mobilize people for activism. What do you do when people aren't listening? You get in some figures that maybe the public might listen to a bit more, because they're not disillusioned by the fact that they're politicians or people with with an agenda. I think we can all agree that Asian hate crimes are a bad thing, but you trying to sit here and pretend this is some political move and we're so above this and why are we talking about this now? It doesn't make you sound clever. It makes you sound ignorant and it makes you sound ridiculous. Interestingly, while doing some research for this video, I searched his name in Google and this was one of the first things that came up. It's a subreddit called Too Afraid to Ask. Is Titus Ellis Smith actually ignorant, or is he intentionally misleading people with alt-right propaganda? Strong star. This guy seems to be quite a popular alt-right conservative social media personality recently, but I haven't found much commentary on his work like that of Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, and Caitlin Bennett. You notice a theme about all those three people? They're idiots. Similar to the latter, most of his online material seems to be highly reactionary. If by reactionary you mean he sits and goes, ugh, then yeah, I mean low reactionary. I thought this was a pretty interesting comment in response. American conservatism has become the textbook definition of Poe's law. They are so far gone into lunacy that it's no longer possible to tell the difference between people who are actually that dumb and people who are faking it in order to dupe the former out of their money, clicks, or satire. Any given ridiculous comment that they make could be any one of the three. Or to put it another way, unsure if it's satire or serious. And that's one of the biggest problems that I have with these kind of things. It's not even necessarily the mass disagreement that I have with the political stances, but it's the way these people go about them. Earlier I mentioned Charlie Kirk, who's a Burke who goes onto university campuses to debate 19-year-olds on their political stances on why Black Lives Matter. Obviously, these people are really ill-equipped to deal with the debate, and basically it just ends up being this very easy target for people who are on the right to just dick on anyone with left-wing views. And speaking of people to dick on with opposite views, take a look at this.
Why do y'all hate black people who grew up with money? Let me make one thing clear. I grew up in a $500,000 house. I went to private school. I graduated from one of the top universities in the country. My job, you couldn't get it if you wanted to. My car note is more than your rent, no cosign. I mean, I can go on for days.
I don't think it's them hating black people with money. I think it's them hating you. Oh, I grew up in a £500,000 house and I went to some of the top universities and I went to private school and I have more money than you have and my car costs more than your rent and blah, 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 blah. You don't think that's why people think you're a dick rather than that you grew up with money? Sure, you might have been affluent growing up, but the reality is you're clearly a prick now. This video might as well have started with, ugh, I just have so much money. Why don't people like me?
Back with another abortion video, and this one is going to ruffle feathers.
Is it?
I already know.
Tell you what, I'm gonna blur this asshole because him being there and going, really? On all the videos just pisses me off.
Why is it you are pro-choice? Okay, so choice, the definition of a choice is you can choose what you want to do. So if you want life, if you want adoption, you can choose that. So why is it that pro-choicers are so opposed to hearing the pro-life argument or to hearing someone who's pro-life talk to them? No,
good point.
They encourage people, if you don't want the baby, you go and get an abortion. Don't hear anything else. Don't make a choice.
Very true.
Subscribe for more. No, thank you. So this video kind of misses the mark entirely because this woman's going off about why do people not like hearing the pro-life option? Well, it's because the pro-life option tends to involve putting in legislation that stops you having any access to abortions at all. So if you're pro-choice and you maybe want the option to have an abortion, you don't get that under people who are pro-life stance trying to put their legislation in. It's really not that hard to wrap your head around. On top of that, there's this really frustrating wording that he likes to use in all of his abortion videos where he says, you're killing babies. Killing babies. A lot of his points on abortion come from the fact that he believes that life starts at conception, which is a really weird stance to take. This is a really boring talking point because it's not this revolutionary statement that justifies stripping people of their rights. Whether or not you believe that life starts at conception, what we do know is that cellular life starts at conception, but that has no more autonomy than like the bacteria on your skin. So utilizing language like you're killing babies is just trying to dramatize the argument. I'm not going to talk about abortion too much, despite how much Titus seems to like doing that, but it's not fun to talk about. It's not good to strip people of their rights. It's not good to demand what women can and can't do with their body. Let's just put that out there.
But we're not sexualizing your children. Drag your kids to Pride. Are you actually kidding me?
What's with the dramatic piano music to make it seem like you're making a profound statement?
We're not sexualizing your children, but we're gonna bring your children to a drag show where men decide they want to dress up like women provocatively, do their little dances for them, have them perform with them, and then accept tips.
It's crazy because if some father brought his little boy to a strip club, you best believe we'd all be like, that's inappropriate. That's wrong. He's way too young to see something like that. But bring kids to a drag show and it's all about pride.
So this is another video that completely misses the mark because he compares drag queens to strippers. If drag makes you uncomfortable for reasons that you don't want to say out loud, then maybe just think that it's that rather than it's sexualizing something. Are all fashion shows sexualizing because they're walking down catwalks? I don't quite understand this take. Exposing kids to things like drag, whilst I appreciate that if you're going to like a drag sex show is not the thing you should be doing with kids, I don't believe that's what this was. Exposing kids to people who like to dress in drag is not sexualizing them. If anything, it's probably a good thing to show people, because we are in a society at the moment where that's becoming more prevalent, and things like pride are an important thing to maybe discuss. You don't have to talk about the mechanics. You don't have to look at these people and go, but where do they put their penis? That's not what you're talking to an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old about. You're just exposing them to the fact that there are these people who like to dress in drag and they do performative shows. They aren't fucking each other. They're just existing on stage, sometimes singing, sometimes dancing, maybe doing a catwalk, showing off a dress that they've made and the makeup they've done. That's not sexualizing.
Any weapons on you today? Guns, knives, pepper spray, any weapons on you at all?
No, but the girls say I'm the bomb.
I haven't heard that one yet.
That's funny.
That's funny. Subscribe for more? For what? It truly boils my blood. I don't know how people watch this and go, yes, king!
If you watch the video, the word sexual assault did not come to mind. My friend just called me. He said, watch the video I just sent you. That was said video. He showed his coworker that earlier today. She said that was sexual assault. A fun little video showing a guy helping a guy out who's clearly with a girl who's probably interested.
Right, well, that's where you fall down on this. In the situation where that is a guy who knows that girl, fair enough, it's probably not sexual harassment. However, we have no context for that, so it's perfectly valid for someone to see that, assume they don't know each other, and go, well, that's inappropriate. Do you not know any women? Like, have you not ever spoken to a woman about their experience in the world? This kind of stuff happens to women I know all the time, and it's very much assault. Now, the problem with verbiage like this is that, yes, there are different extremities of this kind of assault, where you get physical attacks, or you get unwanted physical come-ons, like putting your hand round their waist while you're going past them at a bar, or in this instance, where a guy grabs their hand and puts it on the girl's waist. What if she doesn't want it? If she doesn't want it or hasn't given the body language for that, that's a weird moment that we can consider assault. Whether you like that or not is not the point. You could try and call me a white knight cuck all you want for having this kind of opinion, but just keep your hands to yourself. I don't think that's a very hard stance to take.
Breaking news, Johnny Depp wins defamation case. Jury unanimously rules that Amber Heard lied about him in print with actual malice. Steer clear of Amber Heard's, young men. It's not worth it. Does this mean the Me Too movement is officially over? Does this mean women can't falsely accuse men of things and get away with it? Phew! Part of me actually feels really bad for Amber Heard. Because you're famous, past tense, there's not really anything you can do. I don't think you're coming back from this in the public eye. But hopefully, you find a good church, repent of this atrocity.
Oh, sweet Jesus, that was a roller coaster. Okay. Commenting on the fact that Amber Heard lost in the trial. Fine. Posing the question, is the Me Too movement over now? No. 3, go to your church and repent. Interestingly, I talked about how a lot of left-leaning stuff that these people like to comment on really paints the left out to be slightly too hippie-ish and probably a bit mental. The problem is with the right is you all sound like this. Go to church and repent your Satanist ways. I can't wrap my head around the sort of people that these are. America is such a nebulous culture compared to the UK. We think that we're a lot more similar than we are. And granted, we have a lot of ways that the UK and the US are very similar. But in terms of like religious zealotry, it's frightening. These people are so brainwashed. Women don't deserve the Me Too movement. Go to your church and pray. I pray that I don't see you reacting to shit on my timeline anymore.
Which bathroom do I use?
Where is that? Why? Yeah, why?
Hey, I'm trying to use the bathroom. Can you help me, please?
Why does the idea of unisex bathrooms terrify you so much? Even before we went into any kind of period of social gender equality, unisex bathrooms definitely existed before, and they aren't that complicated. Again, this comes down to conservatives trying to be like, yeah, these are all stupid. But you're the people who are walking up to a door that says unisex and go, but which one am I? Just be quiet, go for a piss, shake your dick off, go back outside. How hard is that to do? As for why, there's quite a few reasons why. Number 1, the establishment you're in is filled with cheapskates and they just want to have 2 or 3 rooms that they don't have to clean that often. 2, because it makes some people feel less like they're forced into one of the the gender binary if they maybe don't adhere to things like that. And 3, because like I've already mentioned, it isn't that uncommon anyway. The thing that bothers me more with toilets are when you go into a pub and you see them named after animals. If you go into a pub that's called like the Swan, you'll go up and see 2 things that say Cobb and Pen, and you go, well, which one am I? In those situations, you probably have a right to be a little bit pissed off because you don't know where you're going to piss. In a unisex toilet, you know very much where you're going to piss because everyone's going to piss there. I didn't think I was going to get hot and bothered today shouting about where people should piss.
Stay triggered, my friends.
That's one of the things I have the biggest problem with, is he likes to sort of poke the bear by ending every single video with, stay triggered, my friends. Ugh.
Defending the act of killing a baby.
Oh, it's the verbiage again.
Not to be too harsh here on you,
a non-sentient, non-viable fetus.
Do you think it should be legal or is any way right to kill someone who is paralyzed, who can't feel things, who is not sentient?
So again, this comes down to pro-choice, interestingly, whether it's about abortion or whether it's about the right to die. We've all heard of euthanasia, and this is something that is still a very big problem across the Western world. Obviously, places like Switzerland are okay with euthanasia because they want people to have a little bit more bodily autonomy, where if they can't function, or they're in a position where they're suffering in life, they can't speak, or they can't do things like that, and that we have the ability to sign away, just let me die peacefully of my own accord, that is a thing that they allow there. So again, outside of you using the word, is it okay to kill them? No one's doing that. Euthanasia clinics aren't letting mentalists in with knives and going, where's the guide? Ah! It's a medical thing, like an abortion. So whilst in your example and your wording, no, it wouldn't be okay to kill someone who maybe doesn't have sentience, it would be okay to allow that person to have some form of choice where they can choose whether they want to carry on their life or whether they want to end it via euthanasia. These really aren't as difficult as you want to make them out to be, because all you want to do is get dunks on what you think are these stupid liberals. But if anything, it makes you look really one-track minded, like you can't see the broader picture. I thought she came across pretty intelligently, but I've never seen a pro-choicer take an L this fast. Probably not your best caption. I'm going to end this video here just because I'm so tired of watching him try and point upwards at the video he's reacting to and just not making points. Feel free to go and rummage through some of his other shorts if you really want, but the guy is just a massive brain rot. I would like to add, even if you do disagree with this guy, please don't go and harass anyone. That's not the reason I make these videos. I make these to try and just have a bit of fun. But frankly, there's been nothing fun about scrolling through all of these. These are terminally awful takes. But anyway, if you guys have enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. The video's over. Goodbye.